this hit make my people wanna jump, jump. Don't this hit make my people wanna jump, jump. Don't this hit make my people wanna jump, jump. Don't this hit make my people.
Welcome back to AIMEzing Words, and today we're going to discuss who is the beast of the East. Now I know there's some people at this table who want to change the spectrum of how NBA basketball goes and think that there's a new era in town, quote unquote. Joe, me personally, they don't have the best record at this particular moment. Excuse me, but the Cleveland Cavaliers have the best player in the world. They have a great point guard, great bigs, a great team that's starting to gel at the right time. Beast of the East.
That's fair. Mine's Atlanta Hawks, without question. Best record in the East. I'm afraid of the Cavs right now, just the way they play against the Thunder on Sunday. The Hawks beat the Thunder last Friday night in a pretty good win. They won by 10 points. I think the Cavs beat the Thunder by 10 points as well, but it was a much worse game for the Cavs played better. They should have won by more points than 10. But the Hawks sweep by. I just think that the Hawks, they rank third in defense efficiency, sixth in offensive efficiency, top 10 in both, which is a formula for a championship contender. And they've lost twice since Thanksgiving. Milwaukee and Orlando, not the two best teams in the world, but it's the two losses. They're 6-0 against the top six in the West, including 2-0 against the Clippers. They are 16-3 against playoff teams, and that doesn't include the Thunder, who are a playoff team too. So 17-3 right there against the playoff teams. I just think that they have what it takes to, you look at the roster, and obviously no one sticks out. Al Horford jumps out at you. That's the only one. He's an all-star, a couple times in his career. He's a great glue guy. He keeps everyone together. Jeff Teague's having a career season, but he, a couple years ago, the San Antonio Spurs, similar numbers. Jeff Teague had 17 points a game. Tony Parker had 17 points a game. Tim Duncan had 15 points a game. Al Horford had 15 points a game. They're built the same way, and I know they don't have the all-star players, the all-pro guy, and Tim Duncan, the 5-time champion, the two-time finals or two-time regular season MVP, and 3 times final MVP. They don't have him, but they have guys that can play really well together, and when they're clicking, they're second in the NBA assists, and they're a real good team.
I agree with Joe. Obviously, the Atlanta Hawks are very good right now, and I know something you said about the new era of basketball. I assume you mean team basketball opposed to one guy and whoever else is around, or big threes like your good buddy LeBron likes to do from time to time. But if you look at the Atlanta Hawk roster and the numbers people are putting, they could have 4 All-Stars in the upcoming All-Star game. Corver being the least likely, but could happen. Having one of the best shooting seasons ever. And, Joe loves Zach Lowe from Grantland. He always likes to write about Kyle Korver. And he was making his case for the All-Star game, and he includes all these clips of Kyle Korver coming off screens or just being on the wing near a pick and roll. And he just completely changes an entire game. And he could be an all-star. He's only averaging 12 points a game, but he's shooting 53% from 3, which is ridiculous. He's my favorite player by far. It's awesome. But then you look at Horford and Millsap. You need big men to win in this league. You need good point guard play. They have all of that. Their team as a whole, they're just clicking. Joe made the perfect. They're doing exactly what the San Antonio Spurs have been doing for years. And it's just a matter of time before they add the right. It might not be this year, but they got to add the right pieces progressively and make it. It's got to be a program. It can't just be like a team or an organization. It's a program, just like San Antonio. And I think if not this year, in the upcoming years, they could very well come out of the East. I don't know, because of the experience of the Atlanta Hawks. I wouldn't really pick them probably going into the playoffs. I would probably lean towards, if I wasn't going to pick a guy like LeBron, I'd probably lean towards a more playoff battle-tested team like Chicago. The Hawks are just playing unreal basketball right now, and I like Joe, support team basketball, so I would definitely say that they are definitely the best in the East right now.
I think the difference between this Atlanta Hawks team and those teams that you mentioned, first of all, we look at the San Antonio Spurs. they've become that organization where they're using multiple players and relying on a full-out team. And back in the other decade when they won their 4 championships, it was their top guys with some role players and them making it work. It was them leaning on Tim Duncan, leaning on Tony Parker in 2007. You look at the other teams that won 60 games, because I don't think this Hawks team is going to win 60 games. I think they're going to peak without a superstar on their roster. There were the 2006 Detroit Pistons and the 2004 Indiana Pacers. There's no Reggie Millers on this Atlanta Hawk team. There's no defensive player like Ron Artest on this Atlanta Hawk team. There's no Finals MVP like Chauncey Billups. There's no 4-time defensive player like a Ben Wallace who was on that Pistons team, along with a Rasheed Wallace who was one of the most versatile stretch fours at the time. The Hawks don't have those kind of guys, and that's why I can't lean towards them. Jeff Teague can have similar numbers to Tony Parker, but he's not a multi-champion, a decorated champion that I would put my faith in that team can go far in the postseason.
The thing with the Hawks last year, and I think you remember the Indiana Pacers had a really good defense last year. Real good defense. I mean, their offense was awful, whatever. Their defense was really good. And the Hawks broke them down the entire series. They should have won that series. They should have. They weren't without Hal Horford. They built on that towards this year. They added some pieces. The Spurs never had a Kyle Korver type shooter to run the system they run on offense. And Kyle Korver is a difference maker. DeMar Carroll, he's a great defender, similar to what Ron Artest brought to the Pacers. Not as much, but similar. Carroll's a very good defender. He can defend LeBron. He can defend guys like that on the wing. And I'm looking forward to see what they can do in the postseason, because they will be the 1 or the 2 seed in the East, obviously depending on how they finish. But if they play the way they're playing right now, they'll be a top 2 team in the East, which means they should win their first round series and the second round series against the Cavs or the Bulls, and we'll see how real they are as a contender then. But as of right now, I'm looking at them as the favorite in the East.
And this discussion is going to continue because we don't know who's the beast in the East, but I know, well, they don't know. Anyways, we just want you guys to chime in. Tell us who you think is the best team in the Eastern Conference right now.
And her mind was on me. And her mind was on me.